Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, and welcome to episode 14 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here today with a Paleo cookbook Kindle publisher who's originally from Pennsylvania and is now living out here in Chiang Mai for a few months. His name is Brandon Nolte.
Hey, how's it going, Johnny?
Hey, what's up? Hey, it was really good meeting you today. So we met today at a Paleo breakfast, which is, how did you hear about this event?
Well, I saw it on the forums. I know that they had been doing it for a while. And, of course, as someone who follows the paleo diet, I was really excited to see something like that. You don't even get something like that in the States, really.
Yeah, it's crazy that, all the way out here in Chiang Mai, you have all these little events. I think it's because people have free time. And everyone lives close by. Nobody has responsibilities. Nobody has to be at... So what the Paleo Breakfast is, it's put on by a couple guys from the DC, Doug, Noah, and I think they're the main organizers, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And every Friday they invite people over to their house for Paleo Breakfast from 9 a.m. to, I don't know, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, they made squash. There was fresh fruit. There was an egg, some sort of egg omelet thing that was really good.
Yeah, cooked in coconut oil and tons of fresh coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. And I think you can't really do that in the U.S. or back home because people have normal jobs.
So you mean that they'll be working at the time when...
Yeah, I mean, who can go on a Friday between 9 and 11 just to have breakfast and network and just talk to people?
Yeah, you probably just don't see that.
Yeah, but the cool thing about it is you meet really interesting people. So me and Brandon actually just met this morning.
Correct.
And I was, when I found out he does paleo cookbooks on Kindle, I was really excited because for a couple of reasons. So in this episode, I really want to ask you how you got started in Kindle publishing, how you make money online doing it, how it's kind of funded your life to be able to travel. But also I want to talk about paleo because eating this diet has really helped me not only be healthier, but also more productive and have more energy to run my online businesses. What is your experience with the paleo diet?
It's been great. I've been doing it for about 3 years. It started. I ran into some troubles with some intestinal pain, and I'll save you the details. But I was actually hospitalized a couple times. I went through a whole litany of tests. I had a colonoscopy. I'm only 27, so usually you don't have to have that for another 15 years or so. I had, my gallbladder checked. I had all these, thousands of dollars worth of tests, and nobody could tell me what the answer was. All they could tell me was that I had intestinal pain or intestinal inflammation was the conclusion that they came to, and that wasn't good enough for me. But I ended up trying the paleo diet. I read a book, The Paleo Solution, which is by Rob Wolf, probably one of the most popular ones out there at the time, and it had just come out. And I was like, well, we'll just give this a shot and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? And, end up changing my life for sure.
What's crazy is a lot of the people who, are deepest in the paleo community, like Rob Wolf, like yourself, other authors of paleo, diet books or, have paleo blogs, are people that really needed to get in paleo because of health issues. And it wasn't just to lose weight or just to look good.
I think that's the case with almost anything. I mean, if you don't have motivation to do it, then why are you going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, looking good naked is motivation, but it's not enough to really change your life. I mean, most people that say to me, hey, Johnny, I want to learn, can you tell me about the paleo diet? Or can you tell me about how to move to Thailand and, live a 4-hour work week, how to make money online? Most of them, the reason why they don't actually do it is because they don't really need to, because their life back home isn't that bad. They don't really, they would like to lose a couple pounds, but they don't really need to feel better because they're young, they don't really have any major health issues, or they have a job, that they don't love, but they can get by and they're comfortable, so they don't really need to build an online business. Like for me, the only reason why I was successful building a business is because I was forced to. I mean, I was in Thailand with no money left, and I didn't want to go home, and I didn't even have a plane ticket home, so I had to build a business that was profitable. So let's talk a little bit about publishing on Amazon, especially on Kindle, as a way to make money. Because obviously there's hundreds of thousands of books out there. How does someone even get started publishing their first?
Well, how would you get started? I guess the best way to get started, if you are interested in it, would be to figure out what kind of topics you'd like to talk about. The way that you come up with books for ebooks, at least the way that I see it, is a little more it's similar to creating a normal size book, except it's a much less of an undertaking. But the same rules apply. You still have to have something that you're interested in, or have somebody write the book for you in something that you can sell. And the other component is having a market that wants that is interested in that book. So you have to figure out, one, something that you're interested in, two, what are people actually buying. So those are the two main components that you want to first consider if you're interested in looking into this.
Okay. And would you recommend, having people write books about things that they like? What's more important, stuff that they already know about that they're really interested in, or things that sell well already online?
That's a tough question. I really think for me, it's very important, and this might be the case with other people as well. It's very important to get those quick wins. So when I first started with Kindle about a year ago, I had a book on Android apps because I was developing an app, and it was a good topic. I started to make some good money from my first book, and I think without that initial success, I wouldn't have been as motivated or inspired to keep working. So if someone were to make a book about microphones, and they really don't care about microphones, or they really like microphones, and that's why they want to make a book out of it, and then it kind of flops. It might be a slap in the face to some people who aren't used to failing a lot.
Yeah, I read a quote out there that the people who make the most money in business are also the people who go broke the most or have the most failures. And I think with especially with publishing Kindle books, it's one of those things where I wouldn't advise someone go into it thinking that they're going to be rich right off the bat from it, because it's one of those. I mean, you really have to pick it as your main focus as a career. I mean, I have one book on Kindle, and it does okay, and I think a lot of it was just because it was good content, and I had a lot of blog followers, and I kind of got lucky with it. But it's definitely not a way for me to make enough money to live. If I wanted to have that be my sole source of income, I'd have to focus all my time on it. I'd have to write multiple books. For example, like around how many titles do you have on Kindle?
I have about 40.
Okay. And if you only had 4, and you spent all your time marketing those and pushing those, you still wouldn't be it would just be impossible to be as successful as you are now with 40, right? It's a lot of it is a kind of a numbers game.
It is, absolutely. And the thing is, you can do all the sorts of metrics and all the research that you think you can check all the boxes, and you can be very confident that this topic will do well, but then the circumstances aren't right and it just totally flops. I mean, there are just so many variables to consider when doing things that you can't confidently say that one topic like Bitcoins is going to do extremely well just because it's popular online. So that being said, it's something indeed where you have to kind of commit to it and put a couple fishing lines out there and see what you can get. I wouldn't go in there thinking I'm just going to do one book and see how it goes. Like, if you want to try it out, you should probably do like maybe 3 or 4 books in different topics and then see what kind of revenue you're getting in. I mean, you can definitely start making some decent money if you do the right niche selection within a couple months, and just get those quick wins going. I think that's most important.
So I actually know a guy who was making a lot of money on Kindle, basically peddling smut. He was writing romance novels under a pen name, and he probably doesn't want me to mention his real name, so I'm not going to say it. But he was an author for other books that did quite well, and he accidentally stumbled onto this niche. And he didn't really care that much about romance novels, but he saw that it was a hot seller. And what he did was he just started going to chat rooms. And these like erotica kind of places where women would submit their fantasies, and he would just chat with them, find out what their fantasies are, and he'd write a book, with a great wow. cover that was really enticing, and he made a killing from it. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, it was probably closer to $10,000 a month than it was 1,000.
Well, that's a great way to crowdsource. I mean, that's really what you want to do when you're looking into these different topics. Is you got to find out what people actually want. That's a very concrete example of someone figuring out exactly what people want to fantasize about and then creating that product. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think the only reason why it doesn't work anymore is, and I don't know too much about this, but he said something about Amazon basically wanting to take it off of. Amazon didn't really want that, like these niches of kind of like rape fantasy or BDSM fantasies to be on Amazon anymore, so they kind of shut them down. So I know I think it was Danny. Somebody talks about it a lot. They said whatever business you get into, ask yourself, does this pass the grandma test? And that was one of those things where it doesn't pass the grandma test. You wouldn't want to tell your mom, your grandma, that you're writing these, really kind of hardcore romance novels. And romance novel, I don't know if the people listening to this have actually read it, but like 50 Shades Grey is probably the most famous one, and it's pretty graphic.
I haven't read it, but I've heard stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the reason why people read it is because, it's their women's version of porn, and it's a lot more hardcore, even though it's just a story, than what guys would watch, and that's why it sells, especially that price point, $3 to $5 price point. Women will they'll just download 20 of them. So I guess the lesson you can learn from this guy is, yes, there are these kind of gray hat, black hat, bad, I would say, niches that don't pass the grandma test where you can make a lot of money in a short while. But the problem is, eventually you'll get shut down either by Amazon, with Google, things like that. If you try to sell in these niches, and all that work you put in, I mean, he put in a lot of effort, and I'm sure he was happy that he made a lot of money in the short run. But I'm sure he would rather have put in that effort and continue to make money.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately what you want to think about is whether it's something you'd be interested in talking about. Whether it's your grandma, whether it's to your friends. If it seems like something you're uncomfortable about, but it'll make you a lot of money, that's a judgment call on your own personality. Is that something that you're comfortable doing, or is it not? Some people, that's totally fine. They can do all sorts of weird niche topics and not feel bad about that at all, as long as it's making them money. And that's something you have to decide for yourself.
I think 5 years ago, I would have happily taken the payday and said, okay, it doesn't matter if my mom doesn't approve of this. Let me just, it makes money online. Let me do it. But now that I'm a little bit older, but I've been through the block a little bit. Everything that I do, I want to not only have my parents be proud of me for, but also I want it to be evergreen. I want it to be something that if I put it out once, for the next 5, 10, 20 years, I can still make money from it, even though, and it's not going to get taken down. I'm not going to get slapped by Google. Amazon's not going to delete my account, things like that. And I guess that's why Paleo is so good for you, because you have a big interest in it, and you live it.
Well, it happens to be doing very well. The topic itself is becoming much more mainstream, so that's certainly helped.
I think it's because it works. And really, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of fads. Like, you could have made money selling acai berries or Zumba. I guess Zumba probably works. I've never done it, but a good example would be like green coffee extract.
Yeah.
And these fads that will people talk about for a while, but the reason why they don't have longevity is because they don't actually work. Versus Paleo really does work.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too, but it's certainly a tricky subject, because we're obviously biased, being the one-off case that it works for us. It's hard to say with a diet, what's going to work long term, how's it going to evolve. I mean, I'm constantly thinking, will Paleo be around in the form that we have it today? What will it be like in the future? How will it evolve? I mean, just try to think back to previous diets that have lasted the test of time. What are there any that come to mind? I mean, I can think of Weight Watchers has been around for a long time. Obviously there's a strong, passionate group around that topic. And it's built around a brand. I guess it's a little more commercial paleo, since it's built around a business.
Yeah, I think what's cool about paleo that is it's not based on any business. And when it comes down to the biggest arguments people have about paleo is, oh, cavemen didn't really eat that way, or these foods aren't around anymore. Personally, I don't actually eat the paleo diet. I eat I just try to eat real food.
Yeah,
and
I think they're completely missing the point when people who say that.
Yeah, well, you know what it is people always try to find ways to why something wouldn't work. And, it's a good and bad thing, right? I mean, the good things about it is, you question things. But to me, if something works, I don't really care why it works. If I see living proof, here's one thing I've been doing, and it's a little bit messed up, but I've really came to a conclusion where if a guy that's in worse shape than me is trying to give me diet advice, I don't listen to him. And, I mean, that's it. If a guy is fat and he's trying to tell me how to lose weight, I'm not going to listen to him. If a guy is, he looks sickly, and he's like, oh, bro, you should really try tempeh because it's super good for you. I'm like, dude, I don't care. But there's a lot of guys who do, kind of modified versions of paleo, like Dave Asprey, who I like a lot. He's the Bulletproof executive. And the reason why personally, paleo didn't really work for me that well, but his version of paleo, which he calls upgraded paleo, worked, is when I was trying to do paleo, I just completely got rid of all the things that I'm not supposed to eat, like wheat, dairy, grains, and I didn't replace it with anything. The only thing I was eating was I would eat more meat, thinking, okay, this is the way to do it. And first, as much, I do enjoy eating meat, but by me tripling my meat portion didn't really work. It wasn't sustainable. I kind of knew this can't be the best, solution, and it's not the best for the environment. It's not the best for my wallet. And it was Dave that he basically said, no, just eat a normal amount of meat. If anything, eat less meat. Only eat meat that is grass fed or actually healthy meat. But just eat and you just eat more healthy fat. And that's what really allowed me to stick to the diet. What's your experience been like?
Well, I guess everyone has. You kind of have to tailor it to yourself. There's not a one kind of. There's not a box of paleo that you just open up on day one and it's like, oh, I've got paleo now. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself. I mean, you're talking about substitutions. I think you really hit the nail on the head there. Every time I talk to people about paleo or any sort of other healthy diet that you may be into, really, I think it all boils down to making proper substitutions. So when you think about the things that maybe aren't as healthy in your life, maybe, the pastas or the breads, if it's something that you want to remove from your diet, whether that's on paleo or whatever, you need to find some sort of substitute. So if you're not eating sandwiches or bread's a great example. You have to find substitutes for breads. So for example, what do you do for a turkey sandwich? Well, you could wrap it in cabbage. You could wrap it in lettuce. You could just not buy deli meats. You could go to, there's all these different substitutions that you have to make, and that's really what enables you to make a long-term switch to a lifestyle, an actual lifestyle change. I think it's difficult for some people, myself included, when you think about it in the short term. But really, you want to try it out, and if you can find a way to make it sustainable for the long term, that's really what you want to do. And by having substitutions for common items that you want to remove, that's really how you can make the quick switches on the fly when you're thinking, oh, I got to eat a sandwich. Well, what can I substitute? Okay, I know exactly what to do. Oh, I need pasta. Oh, I could have spaghetti squash. Okay, and you kind of have those go-to substitutions for your normal foods that you really want to substitute out. You got to have something in replacement, or it'll be super easy to slide right back into it.
Yeah, and I think that works really well for certain people. Like my sister, she really likes to cook, and she likes to find kind of healthier or paleo versions of her favorite recipes. Like, for example, you had mentioned in spaghetti sauce. It's a great, easy way to replace the pasta. You can basically just use normal marinara sauce still. So, there you have spaghetti. And it tastes a little bit different, but I actually really enjoy it. I think I started liking it more than I do normal spaghetti.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that she always buys me things like seaweed noodles or kelp noodles, as these substitutions. And I told her one day, I was like, I'm okay with just not eating spaghetti anymore. Like, I'm okay with just eating some vegetables, a little bit of meat, some avocado. And I think I've kind of looked at food a little differently, especially now that I travel a lot. I honestly do enjoy cooking. I don't really enjoy the cleanup so much, but I also don't really need to cook anymore. It's one of those things where, living in places like Chiang Mai, food is so cheap and so abundant that it's almost ridiculous to cook and clean.
Yeah, I just got here, but I don't know. I really wanted to get a place with an apartment, and this is a terrible time to find an apartment because apparently everyone wants to come to Chiang Mai in December. Ideally, I would like to have one so that I could cook. Like, to me, I would really like to explore food and eating paleo through the foods that are local here, really. I mean, because you come in and there's like only a subsect of what's available. I'm from the States. You don't have the whole smattering of every single vegetable ever. You come in and you have like only certain vegetables to choose from. I think that would be kind of exciting to take what I'm used to cooking and try to make more substitutions, right? This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You go into a new environment and you figure out, okay, what can I use? Oh, they don't have avocados. Oh, they don't have whatever. Like, what can I use in place of my good, healthy fats for that purpose?
And you also find these random vegetables that you've never heard of or seen before.
All sorts of crazy vegetables.
Yes, I had this salad yesterday, and there was, some greens on it that it looked like to me, just normal. I have no idea what it was, but when I had a bite of it, it tasted like wasabi. And it looked like lettuce, and it tasted so strong, like almost like, I guess, horseradish type wasabi, and it was really a big shock. And so little random vegetables and herbs out here like that, you'll never find back in the U.S., especially at a normal market. So yeah, that would be fun. I mean, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll help you find a cool apartment with a kitchen if you want to cook once in a while.
Yeah, deal.
Nice. One of the cool things about Chiang Mai is this paleo breakfast. So they have a live-in. That's not really live-in. I guess she comes in every day. She helps clean the house, and she also cooks. And they taught her. They basically trained her how to cook paleo. They said, okay,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we want you to make eggs, but please cook it in coconut oil. We want you to make steamed pumpkin, but please don't use XYZ with it.
Right.
And
no MSG.
No MSG. Yeah, things like that, and it worked out perfectly. When I first wanted to get into paleo, I think I was living in Thailand at a Muay Thai gym, and I kept having excuses on why it was too hard to do it out here, because Thai food is noodles, it's rice. You go out, you want a sandwich, things like that. And, I kept thinking, oh, when I'm back in the U.S., it'll be easier. And it was pretty easy when I was at home and I had access to Trader Joe's and I got to cook and fire myself. But then I think it was in January, I decided, I was like, you know what? No more excuses. I'm just going to do it. And I decided at that point to do 100% grain-free. And it worked. I mean, it was really just a mental decision thinking, you know what? No more excuses. I'm going to do this no matter what.
So I'm always curious, what was the main benefit that you could feel or tell right away that you were like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this?
It's really hard because at the same time I started eating completely paleo, I had just started CrossFit, and I think it was I know there's a lot of pros and cons of CrossFit, but one of the biggest benefits it did for me was it taught me not to make excuses and just push hard. Which isn't always a good thing. That's why some people get injured. But at the same time, it did teach me just, what, if you're going to do something, just do it and do it correctly, do it 100%. And it was because of CrossFit that I started paleo. And I'm taking a break from CrossFit now, mainly due to injuries. But it did get me in the best shape of my life, and I've taken a lot of the foundations and the principles from it in my everyday normal workouts. So, for example, these last couple of weeks, the only workouts I do is I'll do if I feel like I haven't worked out in a few days, I'll sprint. I'll let you go downstairs into my parking lot, and there's a little tiny hill, and I'll just sprint, and I'll just run as fast as I can, walk back, and repeat it 10 times.
That's tough. That's tough to do.
But it's so. I mean, at the same time, it's so easy. If you think about it, that's really only 5 minutes of your life.
It's such a short amount of time, but I think the motivation required to like mentally prepare yourself to be like, all right, I'm just gonna sprint, and then I'm gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like stabbing a fork in your eye.
It really does. But afterwards, I think it's really because I've sat through those CrossFit classes where I was forced to do that as a group.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give up so many times. And I was like, I 100%, if I was at a gym with my friends or by myself, I wouldn't have pushed through as hard. But it was because I was in a group with everyone else doing the same thing that I felt like I had to get through it. And what I've learned from that mentally is that 12-minute, CrossFit workout, the workout of the day, at the end of the day, it's really only 12 minutes. So as hard as it is, as much as it sucks, as much as I want to quit, I've learned, you know what, I just need to get through it, and afterwards I'll get the benefits of it.
And the side benefit is, like you're saying, it travels over to other areas of your life where, you can just, you're working on something and you feel like quitting, and you just need to, push through for that last mile. And I think sometimes when I get into a routine when I'm lifting, you feel like you can just do anything almost. Like when you feel physically fit, I think it really helps mentally for you to be able to tackle other areas of your life as well.
Yeah, ever since I got fit, I started eating healthy. I've been better at business. I can actually sit down and just bang out work. I mean, it's incredible how easy it is to mentally focus when you're not always tired. I mean, I have so much energy now. I mean, from the moment I wake up until the moment I lay down to go to bed, I have energy. I never need to take a nap anymore, which used to be such a normal thing. Is after you eat a big meal.
I still love naps.
Yeah, but I had to take a nap after a big meal, which was usually lunch and dinner every day. Especially back in the States, you'd have. I loved carbs. So I would have usually potatoes, pasta, and bread, at every single meal.
Wow.
Or some kind of combination of multiple carbs. And I would always to me, it was normal to eat and then be tired for a few hours. And now that I don't eat carbs, I realize after I eat, I expect energy. And it's such a, I don't know, it's almost one of those things where it seems like it'd be common sense. You're tired, let's eat some food, and then I'll get energy from the food right away. But in standard American diet, it's the opposite, where you eat the food and then you're tired, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I always think about that too. And when I have a really big meal, something with a lot of fat or a lot of protein, something that's really satiating, you can definitely tell. I can tell, even if I don't have a lot of carbs, or actually, especially if I don't have very many carbs at all, I can tell kind of that I'm mentally a little slower. I think it's because my body has said, all right, you found some food. I'm going to go ahead and work on that. You shouldn't be stressing yourself out. I mean, that's how I take it.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. Your body takes energy to break down things like protein, even things like sweet potatoes, which I really enjoy, especially.
So, are you super low carb right now?
So what I do is I eat sweet potatoes once a week.
Wow, only once a week?
Just once a week, and for the rest of the week, I lost as many vegetables as I can. I'm not a believer in limiting the amount of vegetables I eat just to stay under the 50-gram rule to stay in ketosis. So I'll eat as many vegetables, especially raw vegetables, as I can. Never count, I never count it, and I eat a lot of.
They're so tiny. I mean, you'd be counting five things of kale, and it'd be crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I eat a lot of vegetables. I mean, I go to salad buffets.
By the bushel.
Yeah, and I just destroy it. So I basically. I don't eat any rice. I don't eat any wheat. I don't eat any pasta. Basically no grains. And once a week, and it's not always on a specific day. I feel like I could feel my body just wanting some kind of carbs. Mm-hmm. So about once a week, I'll have sweet potatoes, and it's been great. I mean, I've been.
So no rice.
No rice at all.
No regular potatoes.
No white potatoes. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't feel any sort of. I mean, you've said you feel great. You feel like you have energy all day, every day.
Yeah. And I think the only reason why it worked for me this time around and not in the beginning, it could be two things, right? One is they always say when you first go into low carb, your body's getting rid of all the years of toxins and things like that, so you can feel like crap the first couple of weeks. So it could have been that. I don't know, but I think what it was when I first started doing this type of diet, I wasn't having enough healthy fat, so I just had nothing. So my body was just running off of a protein, and I didn't think I was eating that many vegetables then. I was just kind of eating a lot of protein, which isn't good for anything. So now I eat tons of grass-fed butter. I eat tons of coconut. I probably have 3 coconuts a day. I have a rule where every single place I eat, if I can add avocado, I will.
Avocado is great.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I didn't add avocado to everything before was sometimes prohibitively expensive. Especially in the U.S., sometimes they want $3 to add avocado to whatever you're eating.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous add-on fee, right?
Yeah.
You could get like 3 avocados for that price.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I ask myself, I'm like, okay, what do I want for my body? What's the best for my life? What's healthiest? And I decided, what? I don't care if they charge me $10 for avocado. I'd rather have them not. But at the end of the day, I'd rather make $10 more a day online and be able to afford the add-on than compromise and say, oh, what? Maybe I'll just have some of this bread.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Health is one of the things that I'm willing to spend almost to no ends on. Like some people like to spend money on clothing, and I'll spend any sort of money on food, especially healthy food.
Yeah, like for example, grass-fed butter is more expensive than normal butter, and it's a lot more expensive than margarine.
It is much more delicious, though.
It tastes so much better. Like how amazing is grass-fed butter? So if you're in the U.S., you can go to Trader Joe's, you can get Kerrygold, which was my favorite out there, and out here in Thailand, you can get something called Angkor.
From Australia, right?
From New Zealand, and it's incredible as well. And
you can see what's amazing to me is you can really see in the color.
Yep.
You can see that most of the generic butter that we get in the States is a very kind of manila, think manila folder, and the actual grass-fed butter is like kind of like a vibrant yellow, like almost like a tinge orange.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not like that the whole year round.
Sure.
But when it's, I guess when it depends on what the cows are eating. If they're eating really green grass, then you get that.
During the summertime, they graze more.
Yeah, you get that really orange. The really orange color, which is brilliant. But for me, I figure whatever time of the year. There's sometimes it's gonna be better, sometimes it's gonna be worse, but it's always gonna be good for me.
But it's cool that you can see the vitamins.
Yeah.
Like that's literally why the color is different. It's the quality. You can see the quality, just like egg yolk.
Yeah. Oh man, the first time I saw a really sunset orange egg yolk, it was at my sister's house, and I was spending the night. She was still sleeping, and I made some eggs. I think I just made a couple eggs and some butter and some salt, just like I normally do. And it tasted so good.
It's so different.
And I asked her, I was like, where the heck did you get these eggs? And so she gets it from a local farmer. And, there are these free-range chickens that, actually eat whatever chickens normally eat and not, they're not stuffed in these
Yeah,
cages.
they eat bugs. Yeah. That's what they eat.
Yeah. And the eggs tasted so good. And I could taste the vitamins in it.
Yeah, it truly does make a difference.
Yeah. But one of the scary things is a lot of big egg producers are catching on, and they're adding stuff to make their orange
coloring.
They're adding there's one that they advertise bright orange yolks, and I'm like, if he's advertising this, he's probably adding something to the egg to make it that way, or they'll add these rancid flax seeds to the diet so they can have more omega-3s in the eggs. And it's all marketing because the problem is people hear, oh, omega-3s are good for you, and you go to the store and you buy omega-3 eggs, not realizing that chickens aren't supposed to eat flax seeds in the first place, and especially not rancid ones that are the cheapest they can buy. So I don't want to get too much into health, but the reason why I really wanted to bring it up is if you're thinking about traveling or building a business or really just kind of getting your life, everything in your life improved, diet is a huge part of it.
I think diet's the keystone habit. I don't know if anybody's who's listening has read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
No.
Fantastic book. He talks about this concept of the keystone habit, that once that habit it happens and occurs within somebody, kind of all the other related habits can kind of fall into place. And so the idea is you get your health set, then okay, you can like legitimately, like you're talking about, start a business, and you can maybe get your social life in order, or whatever the things you have working on. But the idea is once you feel great, you can almost accomplish anything.
And that's so true. And my life is so different. I know we just met today, but if you had met me 5 months ago, before I really got all my life in order, I was completely different. Now I'm just fun to be around with because I'm always in a good mood. I haven't even had alcohol since July 11th, which is my birthday.
Wow.
And my social life's been better than ever. And I think when you're in a good mood and you're feeling good, it radiates, and everyone around you just knows, hey, this guy, he likes his life, and
it shows.
Yeah, and it translates to business, and translates to networking, translates to everything. And so how crazy is it that, I mean, so how long you've actually been in Chiang Mai?
Only a week.
Okay. And you randomly met me, some random guy at breakfast, and 10 minutes later he's like, hey, do you want to come back to my hotel room?
Sounds a little sketchy. But I said, what the hell?
Yeah. You walk in, I don't even have a key. It's completely dark. What was going through your mind when you walked in?
I'm about to get executed.
Yeah. So, but, here we are, and it's really this travel lifestyle that, people allows you to have these new opportunities and these new experiences, and you can learn from each other so much. I mean, so Brandon, he just sat down and looked through my Kindle book and through my Kindle sales, and he just gave me 10 great pointers. He said, hey, if you want to make more money or sell more books, you can do these things. And it's things like that where, I mean, probably everyone that you meet, every single person you met at breakfast today, everyone that we're going to meet at Punt Space later when you go into, when you go into the co-working space, these people will all, be able to really just help with whatever business you're in.
So we were talking about earlier how, you wanted to know why did I come over? Why does anyone come over? I mean, Thailand is great in itself, but really I came for the people. I came for the peer group. The people from the DC, the other entrepreneurs that I met at the conference, and I just wanted to kind of plug myself into that group. I had been working heads down in suburbia for the last year and a half, and while I was able to do some good things for my business, you only accomplish so much when you're by yourself, and like you said, you just make these one-off connections, and you can just do so much more.
Yeah, 100% true. And I know I talk about it a lot, but Chiang Mai really is the hub for entrepreneurs and networking right now. I know Saigon's a big place right now as well, and I'm hoping that there's going to be these places all over the world that are popping up. So I'm going to be exploring a lot of these kind of throughout the year, trying to find where the best places are. But as far as right now, Chiang Mai is really a good base. Like, what do you like about it so far? I know you've only been here for a week.
Well, obviously the cost of living is a huge thing, especially for someone who's looking to start off with a business, or, you came over and had very little to start.
I had no money.
Exactly. And no plane ticket home. And, it just goes to show that you can just come over here, get yourself in the right mode and be determined and make it happen. Almost anybody can do this. If you've got the right mindset, you really can.
So what are you paying for your apartment right now per month?
It's dirt cheap. It's really cheap. It's like $166 per month.
And what were you paying back in Pennsylvania?
I don't know, maybe like $600, $700.
So, I mean, just there, I think if you really needed to, you can just take that, just your rent budget, $600 a month, and you actually could eat and live and work for an entire month.
Yeah,
if you needed to.
If you really want to skim by, you could probably get by $600, $700 a month.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did for a long time. And while I was building my business, for the first couple of months, made no money, made $0 online because I was building the business. And that's what I did. I just wanted to get by as cheaply as possible. So I lived in a place that was $150 a month. I ate Thai food, which is $1 per meal. And I really just didn't spend money on anything. But then during those months, you're able to kind of incubate your business, start out bootstrapped with nothing, meet tons of people who are willing to help you out. I mean, every single person you've met so far has been they're just giving you advice all the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, some people were angry at me for not telling them what I was doing. I said I was working on a side project, and one of the guys was like, well, what is it? And like you're saying, it's just awesome. Everyone's very helpful, and it's just incredible to have that kind of support, really.
All right, so to wrap kind of things up, welcome to Chiang Mai. It's really fun to meet you. I'm glad you're doing really well you're killing it on Kindle, basically. And so if someone wants to get into Kindle publishing, what are a couple of tips? Let's say someone is just starting out and their goal is to make money selling Kindle books. What are a couple of quick tips that you can give them to get started?
So on the whole, I think, and this was my experience with Kindle, and I think it could probably resonate with some other people as well, was that, I was somebody who was in a job that I wasn't happy with, and I was looking for something to start on the side that I could do, in my spare time. When I initially started, I worked before work, I worked after work, I worked on the weekends. I did whatever I could because my goal was to get out of this job. I wanted to replace my current income with a side business. And, it takes a little while to make that happen. But what I was getting at was that with Kindle, it was really something that allowed me to prove to myself that I can do this, that I can make this happen. Before a year and a half ago, I hadn't made $1 online. I mean, besides selling maybe some books back from school on Amazon. But really, if someone is looking to just kind of test the waters and to find something that can potentially, give them confidence to do more, I think Kindle is a great platform. I would hesitate to recommend people to try to make a living off of it, because I think it's kind of it's difficult. You have to put tons of energy into it, but I think to get started, you can really prove to yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, is for somebody sitting on the fence, somebody sitting in that office, and you're thinking like, how are people doing this? You really just gotta try it and start getting some money and prove to yourself that you can do it, because you really can.
I think you're absolutely right with that, because if I didn't start selling my Kindle book, I wouldn't have really believed it was possible to live off of just online income. I mean, I've been wanting to do it ever since I read the 4-Hour Work Week years ago, and I've always made a little bit of money online. Always, I'd be excited if I made $30 online through affiliate sales or some kind of surveys online or something. But I started selling. So the first month I sold my book, 12 Weeks in Thailand, I made, I think it was $600 in profit. And it was a great month. It was, because it was also the launch as well. So I had a bunch of blog readers who were waiting for the book to come out. But that paid for my entire month's living in Thailand. And that really made me believe, hey, it's 100% possible to make enough money online to live and travel. And, and that's really what launched me towards my e-commerce business now and my other businesses I'm doing online, where I chose to do another path where I decided, hey, I don't even want to be a writer. I realized how much energy it takes to become a full-time writer and make that your full-time career. But it really did launch me, so that's great advice.
Would you say you have more confidence now to do other things now that you had the book and you've got some success?
Yeah, 100%. And the great thing about it is that book still passively makes money online. I mean, it might only be, it's usually between $150 to $200 a month, which isn't a lot of money, but it's completely passive now. And because it's good content, people write reviews on it. It's growing. People share it with their friends without me doing anything with it, and it's awesome.
So here's my recommendation for anyone who's looking to get started on Kindle. Possibly use it as a stepping stone. So use it as something where you can build your internet marketing skills, so that you can start to get some money coming in, prove to yourself that it's possible that you can do it, and give yourself the confidence to accomplish more. So start out with something, make it very achievable, and then once you get some money come rolling in, there are endless amounts of ways that you can make money online. But once you prove to yourself, you can do anything.
I love it. Brandon, thank you for being on. What's your Twitter so people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can add me at Brandon C. Nolte at Twitter.
Okay, cool. And if you can't spell that, if you want to link to any of the topics we talked about in this episode, and you can go to the show notes at travellikeabosspodcast.com. Brandon, thanks so much for being on the show, and enjoy the rest of your trip here in Chiang Mai.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.